Tennessee?
What's that?
Sal's son, one who plays.
Oh, no. That has not. Yeah, I mean.
How do you think it will be for him in that dynamic? The fact that his son played under him for 1 year, and now he'll have to coach against his son.
Well, I played against my dad. The only thing you learn really from that experience is the mom always pulls for the son. So Roxanne's first comment was, I can't pull for you. I got to pull for Vinny, you know. So that's the only thing I can tell you on that one.
Derek, is it, when you assimilate a staff like this, is it important to you to have a certain amount of NFL experience on your staff? Is that the way?
I think it's a factor. I don't hire somebody just because he has NFL experience. There's a lot of bad coaches who have NFL experience, and there's a lot of great coaches who don't. I guess my time in the NFL and what it gave me, I see some value in it, and so it's something that, if all things were equal, you'd certainly like to have somebody that's been up there, you know, a few coaches on your staff that has that experience and connections, because it's also important each year to grow professionally, and if you're not wired in to all the different ranks where you can talk to coaches, then you can't grow.
Derek, how important was having 1 year with Sal, working with him in the grand scheme of things? I mean, you hadn't worked together in a decade.
Right.
So was it just a foot in the door? Or?
No, that was very important, because we, you know, when you're on a staff together, and you know, you develop a pretty close relationship, and either good or bad. And I had had an awesome year with Sal, and so that was important, you know, knowing that you had a guy in your room, in your staff room, that is going to be bunkered in and ready to go for you. So that played a big part of it. I know what Sal's about. I know what his character is. I've seen him coach, and so there's a lot less risk.
Derek, I was covering that Sugar Bowl game. As I recall, didn't Herschel run over Sal in that game?
He did. That's a good memory. That was
It was really a blatant run over.
It was one of the great highlights. Sal came in a little high on his tackling technique and
didn't go well.
Hadn't hit a guy like that probably, but I wouldn't bring that up to him. That's still he he wants that one back. They won the game. Fourth and 5. That was I think it was there were 2 4th and 5s that game on the last drive. Georgia scored, Marino comes down, the first 4th and 5, they run a quarterback draw, which I think it was the first time in his career that he ran one of those, Marino. And in the second 4th, and it might have been 4th and 7, Georgia ran a total blitz, little out and up, touchdown. They asked Dad if you had to do it all over again, would you run the blitz? And he says, hell no, I already know the outcome of that. So that's my memory of that game, and I cried.
With your roster changes, do you anticipate getting to 25 in the recruiting class?
There's a good chance, but that number is always a moving target.
Derek, you talked about you
can't go past 25. You can, but you know, I guess there'll be consequences. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
With Coach Pittman, besides him being a pro-style offense, what was it that you really liked about him? And what were you looking maybe differently than what you've been doing?
Well, he comes extremely. He comes highly recommended from a lot of people that I know and trust who've worked with him. And, you know, I made more calls on him because nobody would give me anything bad. And I'm like, I keep calling, you know, everybody's got some, but he's just been so well respected through all the years, and I've had people call me unsolicited since we hired him. So I think it was a deal where there weren't a lot of weaknesses. I mean, good person, good football coach, the players loved him everywhere he's been, they played hard for him, and he's an excellent recruiter. And so, you know, it was a little bit of everything.
Sal was obviously in a good situation at Bama, and Jay was in a good situation at South Carolina. And how did you sell those coaches on coming here and helping you try to turn this around?
Well, I didn't really, I just told them the truth, of where we were. I've always, just like I recruit, I've been real honest about where I thought we were 23 months ago, why we haven't had the success the last 2 years that people outside of Knoxville probably aren't accustomed to see in Tennessee, meaning they don't know what's going on, what we've done the last 23 months and where I think we're headed. So I try not to sell in a way that's misleading, because I want them to come in here and have all the information. The worst thing I think you can do is they get here and go, well, you didn't tell me that. So I tell them the truth, the same thing I tell recruits, but I believe in where we're headed, and I believe in what we've done the last 23 months, and these guys do too. And so that's all I know how to do it.
And you said this was a step that Sal had wanted to take for a while. Do you feel like you've been very selective and just found a good fit at Tennessee, or why do you think it had taken him a bit to get this opportunity?
I think Sal wants to coach at this level, and probably would rather have an impact at this level than, being a different part of the country or a different league I think the SEC and the NFL is appealing to Sal Sunseri, and as an assistant. And I'm sure, there'll be a time when he'll want to be a head coach one day, and of course you start getting different opinions when you're in charge. But I just think that the appeal of the NFL kept him there, and then going back with Nick, knowing he could go compete for a national championship and an SEC championship at a program like Alabama, and I think he's got the same sort of thinking about coming to Tennessee.
Is there any challenges with having this many new guys on your staff, or is it just, it's a professional business, it's professional coaching, you do work, and it's not about, who knows each other and getting to know each other, it's just about doing it?
I think it's a little bit of both. Are there challenges? Yeah. I mean, the challenges is there's a learning curve to how we do things. We have a recruiting this weekend, and Jay and Sam have never been through a recruiting weekend with us and what the expectations are. So there's a learning curve there. There's a learning curve of getting to know each other as people. But there's also, despite the challenges, there's some positives that happen sometimes. Sometimes you're able to, make some improvements in some areas, and sometimes you're able just to infuse new energy and new ideas, and that's a healthy thing. So certainly you don't want 5 new ones every year, but you get it, you try to make the best of it, and you move on.
Coach, how important is it to get somebody that had an intimate knowledge of the SEC as a president? It seems like some coaches that come in.
That was important. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. That was important to me. What didn't mean we weren't going to go in that direction, but preferred somebody who'd been in these wars. They know what the kind of players that we have in this league. They know the kind of scrutiny exposure that you're going to get in this league. They know the stage, and they love it. That was important. And they know our opponents. Having a little leg up on who these coordinators are and what they do and how they do it. So that played a part in me. And
adjustment for even coaches that have been at big schools before, you think that the scrutiny, especially from outside?
I think it's a big adjustment for some, and I don't think it's a big adjustment for others. I think it's a personality and a fit. And some people love coaching in this league, and some people, you couldn't pay them enough money to come coach in this league. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's ridiculously competitive in every day, in recruiting, on the field, and the scrutiny that you get every day is it's not like any other program. A lot of coaches don't like that.
Derek, if none of the coaches would have chosen to leave, would have you been okay if you returned with your same staff intact? Would you have been all right with that?
What do you mean?
If none of your assistants had chosen to go elsewhere and you had the same group coming back, were you prepared to go forward with that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to really I sit down every year, John, with all of our coaches, and it's important to have a professional dialogue on, and it's got to be a two-way dialogue on, what I think, how we did, or how the coach did, good, bad, and his thoughts on where he is and our program and everything. And sometimes when you have those discussions, you get a lot better from them, both of you. Sometimes when you have those discussions, it causes you to think about, maybe, is this the right fit? Sometimes when you have those discussions, you part ways. And so I do that with coaches every year, and I think that's important, and I think it's healthy. And I ask them to give me the kind of feedback that I need as a head coach, honest opinions, because I don't think there's any other way you can grow as a program and as a coach if you don't do that.
Thanks, guys. We'll switch it up.
All right.
More, Wes?
Y'all got Jay. What do you got, Wes?
You set up multiple defense, more aggressive, more attacking. Would it be more of a base 4-3 or 3-4, or is that even where to go?
Well, it matters to the other guys. But y'all, it's going to be both. But I'm not going to tell you what we're running right now. Sal's been on board here how long? A couple hours? Can we wait till spring to get into the scheme? I know you guys it's like you got enough to write about, man. Who are we playing first? Let's start breaking down NC State.
Are you going to have 4 linebackers on the field against NC State or 3?
We're going to have both. Some plays we'll have 2. We might have 1 someplace. We're going to do it all. Are we going to run some 3-4? Yes. That's what y'all want to hear. We're not going to be a 4-3 team. We're going to be a multiple team, which means there'll be 3-4 principles. There'll be 40 principles. There'll be some odd looks, third down. There'll be everything. So it's everything. But what we're going to look like next fall is going to be predicated on, as we put stuff in the spring and training camp, what can we do well given our personnel? So that's why I don't want to say it. It's not because I'm trying to hide anything. Until our guys get out there and start doing this stuff, you don't know what they can do well and what they can't. Does that make sense? Yeah. So, okay.
Thanks.
Appreciate you guys being here.